build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance to spit in his eye. Well, they gave me ball, but I can see between to a dusty yard and a long gone green. They call that freedom, if you know what I mean. And I dry my sorrows, but the whiskey's gone.
Hello everybody, welcome to Longbangers. I'm Matty. This is episode 140, joined tonight by Colin as normal and special guest Shaun Maloney, Hibs manager. Shaun, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. You alright?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, Colin, how you doing?
I'm alright, not bad. Just getting the publicity shots and that taken, so it's settled me all down.
Aye, good. Good stuff. First of all, Shaun, thanks for taking time out of probably a very busy schedule to talk to a couple of idiots.
No, this week's good. We've got a full week to prepare for Motherwell. Last week was more hectic when you got the midweek game, but no, my pleasure.
Excellent. So I thought what we would do is kind of talk a wee bit about your football career, your coaching career, how you came to get to Hibs, and then we've got a few sort of Longbangers-esque questions which maybe don't make as much sense to somebody who's never listened to us before.
Give me the fear.
Yeah. So Did relax, so that we kind of, like I said before we started recording, this is a podcast that doesn't take itself too seriously, so there's no daft answers, just daft questions. The other way around for what normally is. So Shaun, you grew up north, I gather, and how did you get into football and where did you start?
I was brought up in Aberdeen. I was born abroad and then went to Aberdeen about the age of 3. Just with my parents. My dad got a job up in Aberdeen, so grew up there, primary school, secondary school, and yeah, from early age really into football. My dad was a huge Arsenal fan, that started early, like primary 3, 4, I think the first teams at primary school, and it was just relentless after that. Just wanted to play as much as I could.
How early did Celtic come in? Celtic was the first club, professional club you joined, wasn't it?
I joined Celtic, so it was like, back then it wasn't the academy, it was more like, it was like a real sort of, it called youth development, but it really was just, it wasn't quite as fancy as it sounded.
So did they have like a team in Aberdeen, the Aberdeen area that like...
Yeah, no, not a team actually. No. They had like a training, like a satellite training. Right. So the head of academy actually lived in Aberdeen at the time. And so he did a training group, so twice a week. And then at weekends, at the age of 14, I would travel down to weekends. So play with the school and the boys' club Saturday, 2 games, and then the next day travel down to Glasgow and play for Celtic on the Sunday.
And when did you get the idea that you were going to make it at Celtic?
It's a good phrase. Make it, probably, being honest, like properly felt like a real Celtic player. That first year under Gordon Strachan, so around about 22, age of 22, yeah. Like you could made my debut early, but in terms of like feeling like a real Celtic player, it was probably it wasn't until I was about 22. Otherwise, I was a sub. I had some amazing players that I had to try and break through, and that were miles ahead of where I was, and so it wasn't about until the age of 22 that I felt like I was a proper first team player.
And what was your highlights of playing for Celtic?
Highlights were always. I loved Europe. I loved playing in Europe. Had some really great European games at home. With Benfica, Man United, winning at home was really special. Even I love games during under the lights. I think the night games are fantastic, particularly really big ones. Those. Always the European games. There was just something special about them.
Yeah, do you play in the UEFA Cup final then?
I came on for the last in extra time, which is an incredible experience really, but like deeply disappointing, and a lot of hurt still around that night.
Did you feel cheated that night?
Cheated's a strong word. I think it was probably the first lesson that when you play at the highest level, or that wasn't like, I know Champions League and things like that's probably, but when you play at a really high level, there are ways to see games out and win games. I think that was the first very, very harsh lesson that certain teams will do absolutely anything to win. So that was a very harsh lesson, and since that day, like whatever happens at the end of games, how people, how teams act to win games, nothing surprises me now. So it was a harsh lesson at the age of 19, 20.
The correct answer for highlight for Celtic was when I got to play Easter Road, but
never mind. Yeah, no. It was,
as well.
No, it's. I was actually. I was looking at the Frank Sozzi top. So I played against him in 2001, and that was a good side.
What were your highlights of Hibs games? Any stand out for you?
Yeah, the atmosphere. I always remember the atmosphere. I played against different generations. Frank Sozzi, Latapi. I remember Latapi just being like a magician. And as I got to know him latterly, definitely relied on the talent rather than any physical. But his talent outweighed anything that he had to do. So, and then even the next generation, when I started to grow up with players that I played with in Scotland, that like the youth development that they had at that time was so strong. Some of the players that came through that, and the recruitment, like even Sproul was a really good player in that team. He had amazing speed in that final third. Murphy at left back, and then that's not even going through all the academy boys. Brennan, Thompson, Whittaker.
You would have played with him in the 21s, did you? I think I watched you there in the Scotland under 21 game one night.
Yeah, Croatia. We played Croatia here. We had a brilliant performance under Rainer Bonoff, the manager. We got beat 2-0 in Croatia, and then we won 1-0 here. And it was a special Croatia team. They had Kranjčar, but we had a good, really good under 21 team. Gary Caldwell was there.
Craig Gordon.
Yeah, with Craig Gordon, Alec. Al McGregor, we had a really good side. Darren Fletcher had just sort of come out of that to the first team. But yeah, Gary Connor, Derek Reardon. We had some. We had a really strong side, and unfortunately, we had a brilliant performance here.
Funny you mentioned McGregor and Craig Gordon, who are both still playing. And we've had a bit of an injury crisis. Have you been tempted to put the boots back on?
No. It's definitely a different position, goalkeeping, to playing at the age of 39, 40 than playing outfield. But no, what those two have done is amazing. But I've been looking at David Gray a couple of times as our squad gets smaller and smaller, and he's not making eye contact with me. Although look, we like it has been very hard. Our injuries, like the amount 10-11, is almost unprecedented. But at the same time, we're given. I think what did we have? We had two 17-year-olds, 19-year-olds. Like you're giving them an experience, like they're on the bench, and like if we have to use them, I have to use them, and I've got no problems about using any young players. So it gives them an experience. But for sure, ideally, we wouldn't want that many out.
Now, what stands out for your time after Celtic? So obviously you moved and played for various clubs afterwards, but what kind of highlights did you have?
Winning the FA Cup was obviously a huge highlight, particularly against that Man City team. It was an amazing Man City team, and the way we did it, we played a certain way.
We watched that in the pub up at the Playhouse. We were going to see Darren Brown that night at the Playhouse, and we watched that.
Darren Brown,
I've seen the corner again recently. Obviously, they've been showing it on the BBC when we've been in the cup, showing the corner for the goal again. So.
Yeah, no, the corner was definitely not the highlight of that goal. Like Ben's header was like incredible header. That's definitely a highlight. I loved playing for Aston Villa. I really did. A really big club, really demanding club. I struggled the first few months. Leaving Celtic, I really wasn't at a point I wanted to leave. But once I spent a full season at Villa, I actually really enjoyed being part of the club. And then Wigan was a really enjoyable experience. Do you know what? I took experience from everything. Even the one in Chicago, I didn't spend too long, but I loved the city. And then Hull is a club that maybe you don't know too much about, but it's actually a really enjoyable club to play for. So, but the winning the FA Cup was definitely a massive highlight. It was just an amazing achievement for that team.
I was amazed when I was looking at your stuff on Wiki that you'd never won the Scottish.
Yeah.
How did that slip by?
Just lots. Like I had lots of problems with injuries when I was playing, and always, and unfortunately, a couple of times when, like I scored in a semi-final, then make the final. Just like there's a couple of stories like that, and it's just
bad luck.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're part of a squad. Like I never let that affect, because like your teammates are there going to win the cup. So, but no, I don't regret. There's nothing.
No.
It's not like I could have tried any harder, but I definitely saw teammates go and lift it.
A good opportunity to win it this season as a manager, and
Yeah, we have to give ourselves an opportunity. So we've had two, particularly the Arbroath game was a difficult tie, and we got a difficult one away at Motherwell. But if we can, I think if we give ourselves an opportunity, which I feel is if you really make it to Hampden, then you start to feel like you have an opportunity to win it. So
we were kind of joking last night, see whether there's ever been a team that's gone through 0-0 in the cup.
Well, we've had a few recently. Which you can take it both ways. Very amazing defensively, but for sure I'd like a little bit more attacking.
We did say that, like the difference in the defence over the last few months is like the last 3 games. Although we've not really looked like scoring very much, we've definitely not looked like conceding. So I've not been sitting there thinking we're going to lose this, which has been a thing over the years, isn't it? You're thinking we've got to lose a late one. It doesn't feel like that. The defence feels really tight.
Yeah, look, I do feel like it's a foundation of any great team is like we have to have a really good defensive organisation. But the position we're in, I understand. Like you need to. We need to be better attacking, and we need to have a more attacking threat. But we're also there's some reasons for that. Like, but it's up to me. I have to find the answers. I think the way the window evolved, losing Martin was a big one. Kevin's injury is really difficult to take. But that's my job. Like I don't want to continually complain about what's missing. I do want to give the fans an exciting team. Are we there? Absolutely not. But at the moment, I do feel that the foundation defensively is good. But I know we definitely need more.
And the improvement in the defence that we've seen since December, who's getting the most credit for that? Then is that to Caldwell?
No. All the players really. No, really. No, like I think. I said it like that because I don't want to do the like one individual coach. Because actually, because all the coaches, David, Gary, Valerio, and you have to have the goalie coach and John as well with that. But they all do different things, not always at the same. So Gary, Valerio won't always work on the defensive organisation, or you have to give it to the players really. We worked very hard on it, like very hard. We've worked on it very hard from immediately. The way that we wanted to defend was very different to maybe the past coaches, which is fine. There's no right or wrong, right? Yeah. But the way we wanted to do it, we had to work very hard, and it's a work in progress. But we've got some good players. But what I've loved is that the amount of injuries we've had, suspensions. We've had people play different positions, and they've really picked up the ideas of how we're defending as a team really quickly. And long may it continue, and now I need to try and find the answers in the other part of the pitch.
Yeah. You're rooting the coaching, so you from what I gathered, didn't do the traditional sort of Largs coaching you at the Cruyff Academy. What was that experience like, and why did you choose that route?
Yeah, I chose that route because I'd done my A and B licence with the Scottish FA, and then I got the job with Belgium, and the time in between doing my pro licence, it meant that there was a gap of about 18 months, and I didn't want to do nothing. Like I was with the Belgium team, I wanted to kind of continue learning, but I wanted something different. And Roberto, one of his best friends is Jordi Cruyff. So we just got speaking, and obviously the institute there was something Johan set up a period of time ago, and it was just completely different learning experience, and that's exactly what I wanted, and it was by far the best thing I've ever done.
What can you take from that you can bring to Hibs?
Everything, really, honestly, everything. The whole coaching sort of philosophy changed. How I saw coaching as I could be here ages, but like really how it's more of it's a collaboration rather than dictatorship. That's how they teach coaching.
That translates to we work in financial services, and then that's how, like, as managers, that when you're coaching a member of your team, it's not like
you don't tell them how to do it.
They find the answer.
Exactly that, collaboration.
Yeah, you're well ahead of you. No, but it's true. Like what I got exposed to was very different to what I'd been exposed to previously. Things. There's just lots of things with along those lines. But it was hard. It was a hard course. It took me a long time. COVID was extended it. I only finally. It took me 3 years. So it's by far, honestly, the best thing that I did. And on that course, I met Valerio. So he's one of the coaches. So it's crazy how things work.
Who's been the biggest influence on your career so far?
There's loads of different sort of moments where I've had really been fortunate. Like there's so many. Like even when I was 16, like the technical director at the time was Kenny Dalglish. Like you're in there every day with an absolute legend. Like numerous Champions League. Our kit man was a Champions League winner. I absolutely loved the experience of all the ex-players coming, all the Lisbon Lions coming in.
We were going to ask you about that actually, because they obviously started it.
Yeah.
Started it here as well.
Yeah.
And what's the sort of value you see in that is it for the players' benefit clearly?
It's for the players, the club, for mine, everyone really. Like the players that are coming in. A lot of them, it's their club. They've supported them. They've played here a long, long time. I want them to feel like it's still their club. I want them to feel like they come into the training centre and they're welcome because of what they've done for the club as well. Like they played here a long, long time. They've achieved things. I also want our players to see there's a guy that was sitting in the same dressing room as them, although it might be many years ago, but he's achieved something that I want us to achieve. So it's possible. So now, the guy sitting next to them in lunch has achieved what we're trying to achieve. Which, all right, we're at the very start of my job here, but what I want to achieve, like there's people here that have done it. I want the players to see it, speak to them, get the experience. And I love hearing it. I love the history of the game. I loved it at 16 at Celtic. I could listen to the stories of the older players, Jock Stein, the stories. I want them. Pat Stanton, the first assistant under Sir Alex at Aberdeen. I just constantly want to know and ask questions. So for everyone, benefit of the club, me, and I want these ex-players to feel like they're welcome. It's their club.
I think it gets the players to buy in a bit more as well. I'm a rugby fan as well, and they do that. Like the Scotland, the dressing room at Murrayfield will have great players that have played, certain positions. Just the name up, just to inspire. Just say that's like this is Gavin Hastings' shirt, sort of thing. It's that kind of thing, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, rugby do lots of good things. I know there's a definitely different cultural, even some of the backgrounds football rugby, but I do love some of the things rugby teams do. Obviously, the All Blacks have well documented, but I love. I'm very patriotic. I love the things that watching Scotland rugby, any sport, and we should be proud because, look, there's some people that have come from the same country as us, done amazing things. And I just want our players to feel like there's Hibs players from the past that have achieved what we want to achieve. So it's possible.
And your experience with Belgium, obviously some world class players there. What was that like?
An absolute privilege. A privilege, yeah. Some of the things you see some of the players do was just out of this world. Really good people, all the players, very, very demanding in a really good way. Really sort of highly driven people, but very humble. I love the country. I love Belgium as a country. I used to drive, obviously, different games. I loved the country. So a massive privilege. I loved every minute of working for the federation and the staff. Robert was a brilliant guy, very similar ideas on football, and some of the staff he had, I'll forever be close with.
I've been to Belgium once and I had a fish thrown at me.
School
do you want to expand on that slightly?
There's not much. It was like a history trip to one of the war sites, and
right, okay.
in the evening some lad came out close and just threw a fish at the group. It was like a whole fish. It's the most random thing, but that's still the lasting memory of Belgium. I'll be back.
I had a slightly different experience, but that's a really random story.
It's true as well. So you come from that role with Belgium straight to Hibs. Were you worried that you might not make the step up?
No, do you know what? I was. The call came. I was on a family holiday because it was in between internationals, and just started to get inspired by what could happen. And then it progressed pretty quickly, and then I had a big decision to make, and I just went for it. And pretty much from that day, it's been 24/7, and I've absolutely loved it.
How would you describe the opportunity? So when it was presented to you, how would you describe the opportunity you saw?
Just really exciting. I knew the club obviously playing here. I knew what it can be like when it's really going well. So I just got very excited. I got really excited about if I get things right, about what we could achieve, and what I really want to try and achieve. So yeah, that was the first sense straight away. I just started to get really excited and sort of got inspired about what I could bring to the club.
And what have your impressions been of the club since you've actually been in through the door and been hands on with it?
Yeah, I've loved it. I've loved the players. The players have given me absolutely everything. As I'm sure you've seen, I'm asking them to do things that at times are difficult, and they've given me everything, and they continue to do that. So I've been really, really grateful for the players. Club overall, yeah, I really want to, even like some of the atmospheres we've had, even at the weekend, St Johnstone, the amount of fans that turned up, I know it was a great initiative. The atmosphere at the Celtic games, Hearts games, the away support, even at Dundee, like it were really disappointing 0-0, but like the support that the away fans gave me, made a big impact on me. First time they sung my name. Now I hope to win a few more games so they keep singing it, but yeah, I get a really good feeling. And look, I understand there's bumps in the roads and there's things, less positive results. Some people are happy, some people aren't, but like I never get too high or too low, but I'm still really positive. Like I've loved the first however many days. I should know 78 days. 78 days, yeah. I did a board meeting the other day, so it was a certain amount of days. I know the days, so I just need to keep referring. Yeah, but it's incredible. It's not been a long time, but it's just been 24/7 since the day I arrived here.
In 70 days, you'll be getting close to the point where you're assessing the 90-day plan that you have to do for the job interview. You know, to see what you're going to do the first 90 days.
Yeah, that's all right.
There you go. I don't know. Only 12 days left. What did I promise?
No. I've done all that with the board, so it's yeah, no, that's why I know why it's 70 days. Yeah.
We score things out of 15, like marks out of 15. So if you were to give yourself a score out of 15 for how things are going at the moment, where would you put it?
That's a good question. I'd love to break it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Like if you really want to go in terms of where we are in the league, fourth. It's very, very tight. We're fourth, but I also know that there's very little within it. League form out of 15. Break it up at the start. It was very good. So like a 10 or 11. Then it was a more difficult period. So maybe half that. And then I feel like the last 5 games or so probably getting closer. 7 or 8. Yeah. Around about there. The window was, again, I'd break it up, really, really positive. The first part of the window, I was so happy to get everything done really quickly. And then obviously the last week to 10 days with losing Martin, probably you can really break that window into 2. Yeah,
it was like that on the message boards and stuff as well. It was really positive early days in the window as well. And then obviously, it's such a chunk out the team in terms of goals and attack, like the exciting play that you're talking about.
Yeah, look, I understand that. I think I did the AGM recently, and it was quite difficult questions. But not difficult. It's just fans being honest. But I know where we're at. Like, look, I understand that the way that we want to play. I don't want to have 60-70% possession and 2-3 shots on target. I want us to get to a point where we're having that amount of possession and 15-20 shots on target, big goal scoring opportunities, but also know where we're at and what we were missing, and when we're not there. I really want us to get to a point where defensively we're really good. I want us to control games, but I want us to just add a real excitement to it. Now we've got the first 2. Now the last part of that is a work in progress for sure. Now the players we've got at the moment work very hard with them, but I think it's going to be a big summer in the window. We need to bring in certain attacking players that are going to take us to that next level, and we have to get that right, because if we are very serious about breaking into that top 3, really trying to like shut that or close that gap between our biggest rivals, we have to get that right in the summer. Yeah, that's something that from as soon as the window shut, pretty much on the 1st of February, it was like day 1 to the preparing for the next window, and it has to be like that.
And in the January window, like obviously he came in 2 weeks, a week before it opened, so I'm assuming there would be stuff already lined up. Clearly you'll have final say, but did you have much input But did you have a lot of input into the window? Was there a lot of stuff already lined up?
Yeah, there was a lot of work done. So the work on Elios had been going months. The club had been very, very proactive with that. Really good young player. But some of the but then after that, like Rocky, I knew a lot from the Belgium 21s. Dimitri as well, I'd known for quite a few years. Ewan I'd worked with before. I knew he was super talented. And then Sylvester was somebody that throughout the window the work was done, which was a really positive one actually near the end. And Harry was a lot of work had been done, but I knew him anyway from watching a lot of Scottish football. Yeah. Now he's been a huge miss as well. Harry hasn't kicked a ball for us, and the power and sort of attacking threat he gives from wide areas. So yeah, there was a lot of work done before, but as soon as I came in, even before I'd signed, I knew there was specific positions that I wanted to strengthen. Yeah. So 4 or 5 of those I knew immediately who I wanted, and then in fairness to Ben, we went and got those deals done. Mm-hmm. And Sylvester was very late. I think that was I really liked Sylvester from early on in the window, but obviously with then Martin leaving, it was really then how a player with similar attributes, maybe slightly different, and not over a big space, but like smaller space. Sylvester's really good.
Did you know a lot about the squad before you came in? Because you were doing sports scene and stuff, weren't you, before, like now and again, so I assume you were watching a bit of Scottish football.
Yeah, no, not so much from the sports scene work, but mainly just when I found when Hibs approached me, then the work started on really sort of analysing the squad. So that by the time I turned up on that first morning, I knew everything about the squad or knew everything I could before actually working with them.
At the HMs, some of the stuff I saw in the back of it, there was a comment about looking for a number 6, which sparked a bit of debate about.
We don't know what that is.
Oh no, just know what number 6 looked like. But what's a number 6 look like in your team?
Yeah, no, it's just more just bringing certain attributes maybe in that sort of defensive midfield role that will allow us to be more attacking. It will take a little bit of pressure off Josh Campbell, Jake, who have actually done really well recently. Both of them have gone through slight dips and then really coming out the other end of it now, which young players do. Mm-hmm. They have moments where they might have a mistake and the mistake might cost a goal, but they've actually shown great mental strength to that to happen and still then come back and play the way they have in the last few weeks. So a player that can really give them a bit of help in that area and allow us to be even more attacking. So I hope that answers it.
No, there's more we were saying, like, no, is it a defensive midfielder? Is it a defensive midfielder that starts attacks, or
yeah? But what is it? They have to do everything now, so they have to do both. Yeah. And I think that's maybe something you've seen, hopefully, in the team. Like lots of players now, like Lewis Stevenson is now doing lots of different things, lots of different positions.
So there's ways of playing up front.
Might be soon if we get any more injuries. But that's something. Whereas before I took the job, I knew Lewis in a couple of positions, but then. One through injuries, and then also once I've seen exactly what he can do, he can play in numerous positions. And thankfully he's been able to do that. Even Chris Cadden at the weekend played a position he'd never played before, and did it extremely well. So, but I need that, because if you get injuries throughout the squad, hopefully, God, we never have as many as we've done now, but next season, if you do need players that are versatile, and these are things that I've learned about the players.
With Elias coming in, so he came in with quite a bit of fanfare and a lot of hype and expectations, I suppose, for the fans. You've probably protected him a little bit to bring him in, but we're starting to see him now. Was it necessary to protect or kind of hold him back, if you like? Was that through fitness or getting used to the game, or what was the thinking?
Everything really, what you're speaking about. So when he came, he was just off the back of his season. He had to. He's young as well. Like at 19 when he signed, new league. He's moving in with almost like a digs here, accommodation. Never played on grass pitch, and just had to get used to the physicality and speed of the game here. So when he signed, I knew this was going to take a period of time, but obviously, I did say it in the media, but that didn't really like.
It gets lost.
It gets lost a wee bit, but. I knew it, and Elios knew it, so he knew it. We spoke about it before he signed, so we knew the plan that we had for him. So, although I say it publicly, I still understand that there's a lot of like pressure for him to see him. He did catch COVID as well, which delayed the process. Particularly, he was on the bench for Arbroath, and then unfortunately he got ill for a little bit. But he's actually came back, and I'm so glad that we did have that period to sort of give him time to adapt, because what you saw already in Dundee and what we saw already there at St Johnstone was like, I feel like he's ready now to really fight for the number 9 position. I don't want to put too much pressure. We've lost our main 9 for a long period of time now, but we're gonna have to really push him, because we're gonna need him. Which is that's football.
Yeah.
Whether he's 19, 20, we're still gonna let him adapt. But at the same time, I have to keep pushing him. But he's been very good, really good to work with. Really.
He looks really enthusiastic. That's what we were saying last night. You know, he looks like he's got a good attitude from the fans' point of view.
Brilliant attitude. The way he works out of possession. But that's been my experience of him since he signed. He understood how long it was going to take to get ready, and he's worked really hard. Like more sessions than anyone. Coaches have worked very hard with him to get him ready physically. Some of the senior players have really taken it on board during training to really, really help him progress. So. Long may it continue. Don't want to put too much pressure on him, but we're going to need him.
Yeah. And one of the things you pointed to is having liked was the atmosphere at the derby. One of the things that caught us a wee bit off guard was how up for it the team were for the derby. We probably haven't seen that as much as we might have over the last couple of years. I suppose we're surprised, and don't take this the wrong way. The last time we saw that kind of fight was probably like something like Neil Lennon was in charge, and Neil Lennon's got a very different character to yourself.
Appears to.
Appears
don't know what your
to.
character
I
is.
don't know what you like. But
Media
That's your perception.
That's it. How did you go about motivating the team to get a performance like that out of them in that game?
It's I think
Trade secret, is it?
No. Like it's like I think I'm just trying to think about the perception you have of me. I can definitely. There's definitely maybe a side that maybe people don't see. In terms of motivation for that game, it can be. A lot of people spoke to me about this game. The fans. There was a sort of trepidation of the support going into that game, which I never felt leading up to it. Hearts are a good side, and I'll be honest, they're in a better place than us at the moment, as the table shows. But on just that game. There's just things within our team that need to be continually pressed on, and some games, in particular that one, it can become quite there's an emotional attachment to that game, and yeah, I had to push that game that week, but. Look, there's things I can say, but I'll be completely honest. The performance of that night was for the players themselves should take the credit. Now you can give guidance and ask and really remind players of certain situations, but it's them that did that. Like I can't take the credit for how they played. Like there's things and performances in that game that were like Joe Newell produced a performance that was just. Unfortunately, I've not seen him since. But it did give me a sign of. What the players can produce when they're at their very, very best. Now, my job is to get that against every club in the SPL. So, St Johnstone at home, St Mirren at home, Livingston at home, Celtic at home. I need that performance every single week because that's the club I'm at. This is your club. This is a big, big club. Now, we need to produce that level of performance. And look, we'll make bad passes. We'll make a pass that costs a goal. We'll miss chances. But if we give a certain level of performance in terms of fight and desire that we showed that night, then I'm absolutely sure the fans will.
Wins you a lot of points in the bank.
Look, the fans will be proud of their team, and that's a good place to start.
That makes a huge difference to the support. If you win a derby, it carries a lot of weight for a long time. Definitely. You also spoke about having a connection with the fans. Where do you feel that is at the moment?
Away fans really seems very positive. No, I understand the dynamics of football. If we don't win at home, I understand that I don't send them home happy. I'll be honest, the connection I feel is good, but at the same time I do feel sometimes there's a lot of negativity, not from the fans, not from but I feel there's a lot of negativity outside the club, towards the club. and towards me. So I get the feeling that they're quite happy for us not to achieve, and quite happy for me not to achieve. Now, I hope that the fans see maybe a little bit more than what they read from or hear in certain media, because sometimes I feel that has an impact. So we're sitting in 4th, and I know we are miles away from where I want us to be. I came in 7th, we're sitting at 4th, we're in the quarter-final of the Cup, and this week's huge. The next 2 weeks are huge, both things could change. But from where I've taken over and the injuries we've had, I feel I know where we're at. I know there's been positive things and less positive. I very rarely, or I never hear what we're maybe doing well. But then also I'm starting to understand the dynamics of this club and this city. But I find that I get a real motivation from that.
Where do you think that came from? Like the external factors maybe not wanting you to succeed?
No, I just get the feeling from outside in terms of it might not just be me. I also get the feeling from the club. I feel like people are quite happy for Hibs not to do okay. And
there's a lot of grumbling on the message boards and that about even things like sports scene, you know, like missing things and not talking about incidents like the ones we spoke about already in the Dundee game.
Yeah.
Didn't show it, didn't say it, you know, like they did say it was a red card on Saturday, and that was almost like, they've actually agreed with one, but it's like got to be signed and sealed that it is a red card before they'll even say it, and there's that, and I don't. Sometimes you think, have we just been paranoid, or are we actually? Is it the case? And I always think I'm always trying to be more like balanced about it and say, surely, why would they be against Hibs? You know, like what would possibly be the case, but. I know I'm in the minority like that because he's opposite. He disagrees here because everybody says, especially the refs.
I think folk are quite happy to see us fail, like a lot of things. A few pundits that take a great deal of pleasure in it.
Yeah, I felt that. But I don't read or listen to anything. But I think it does affect sometimes the support. Like I do. Like we've done some. Like we have had a very difficult time with injuries. Got one of the youngest teams, I think it was one of the youngest team in about the top 8 or 9 leagues in Europe to win. The weekend we beat Ross County, so extremely young team. They were sitting in 4th. Now, I know we are nowhere near where a team of where I want us to be for our support. I know that. Like I know that we can have 60% possession, but if we don't create anything with that, I know. So I never ever. I never read anything or listen to anything because I know where the team have to get to. I know what I need to do. Until that moment, I feel like then I know the fans will connect with us, connect with me maybe. Until then, I'd much rather they put the pressure on me, much rather that I get the grumbles or the boos. I'd much rather that than my players. And I've already noticed there's a change with my players. So Kevin, Dre, I've already noticed a difference with the crowd with them. So I'd much rather that and any pressure just put on me, because I know that where I want to get the team, that eventually the fans are going to be very, very happy with and very proud of that team. So until that, I know there's bumps in the road. There's going to be more, so I don't mind taking the pressure. That's my job.
If we do one last question for
football,
fine. And then we'll get a couple of short bangers.
Two.
No, you ask as many.
If that's all right. So
injury
update. Is anybody due back anything soon?
Joe Newell, I think, will join back modified training. So that's in the balance. He might be available for Aberdeen.
And that's the rest are all longer term than that, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's where we're at the minute.
Okay. The other one I was going to ask you, we got asked this by someone, was we've had 3 goalkeepers in the Matchday squad at times. What's the thinking? What's the reasoning for that?
Well, at that time, it was in the start in the 20 was I had 20 in the squad, so I had no other. We'd already called up 17-year-olds, and so we had 20 in the squad. So I put the goalkeeper in. The goalkeeper's part of 20. There would be no reason for me not to. One, because he's the third choice keeper at the moment, has been brilliant at training, brilliant with me. Gives me everything each day, David Mitchell. So why would I want to treat him? I don't think anybody's
being critical.
No, it's not.
It was more that they've looked at him and went, Mitchell's back, and then they go, oh no, it's the goal.
I did understand. Literally, in the conversation with the car, Josh, my son, was like, Dad,
It's the goalie.
Oh,
And then they go, hey, we've got 2 goalies on the bench. And that's where the conversation goes, and that's where the question comes from.
that's nobody's. Yeah,
Because I think there's a rule in Europe or something. Someone told us when in the European squad you need to have 2 keepers on the bench, but
we
not in
do
the.
that.
Not in, I don't know if that's even true.
Last one for Hibs.
Fire away, huh? I know we've got but yeah, no, I think this is more enjoyable.
We'll try it off.
It's like a sponsors thing. Yeah.
Don't tell
A
him.
few daft questions to ask, but in terms of success at Hibs, what would that look like for you?
Being the best team in Edinburgh to start with, and like I said earlier on, there's a gap there that I want to try and narrow. That's next season. This season it has to be 1, fight for the top 6, and then fight for the top 4. So I'm absolutely desperate. I think you probably heard it in my voice earlier. Desperate to play in Europe, and I mean qualify for group stages, not.
Yeah.
But that takes work. But that's the short term. Longer term, it has to be the best club in the city, and I don't think I can ever stop until I try and win a trophy. I've seen what the scenes when David scored. Like you start talking about it, I start getting inspired about it. So I'll never, as long as I'm here, I'll never stop trying to do that because I want to see that scene.
Okay, Longbangers is a series that we do on a Thursday where
Okay.
our listeners send us in questions, so we never know what we're going to get. They tweet us questions and then we...
Strictly non-football.
They are shifting
Okay.
off, and it is nonsense. So,
At least you're honest.
you've got a list of the call, but I've tried to do one from memory. So you get a pet, so you get to choose the pet. So you have to have it.
Have to choose what?
A pet.
A pet.
Right? And it's a dog, but you can either have a dog with a human head and a dog's body, or a dog's head and a human body. What would you prefer and why?
This is the most random. I'd prefer. I'd probably go a human's head and a dog's body.
Why?
Just so I could talk to it.
I can't remember I answered that either. Probably said the same.
More awkward with the stuff in your butts.
Another one we got was it was, I can't remember what it was. We were trying to remember earlier what it came from, but you know these counties in England that chuck like cheese down hills and
Oh, yeah,
hills
yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff. So there was one about throwing a biscuit, and it was like
Knob toss is what
it was called the
is
knob
it?
toss.
And it was an event that got cancelled.
Aye. And there was some world record they chucking a biscuit for. It was only like 15 metres or something. We were going, that's easy. So, what biscuit would you choose if you were going to try and beat that record?
I didn't even listen to that question.
What biscuit could you throw the furthest?
Digestive? Without the chocolate.
Without the chocolate?
Aye.
Nah.
A bit
I went
drag.
Viscount, I think, because I thought
Hobnob was another one that was a
Hobnob.
strong
all the same
contender.
shape, obviously, for the same reasons.
This shape, yeah.
Obviously, if you're doing like a jam with a Cadbury's finger. It's Saturday night and your best jeans aren't quite dry. Do you put them over the radiator or use a hairdryer?
What?
Saturday night, you're about to go out, your best jeans aren't dry yet. You put them over the radiator or hit them with a hairdryer?
Radiator all day long, huh? You?
I would do a bit of both, I think, because it depends how much time I've got.
Aye.
Some can tumble dry as well, which we've not considered in that question.
It's an option.
But no, it wasn't. But some jeans can tumble dry. But I think I would go radiator with a hairdryer. You catch it for both sides.
Have you ever put anything other than your hands in a Dyson hand dryer?
No. No.
There's a guy that listens to this question. There's a guy that listens to the show. He's got a bakery just down at just down the flats at Ressorg there, and
Alan's Bakery.
Alan's Bakery. Aye, we've had. He doesn't sponsor us yet, but we give him shouts out all the time. He's been making pies based on suggestions of the listener. So he created a kebab pie, like kebab meat with a bit of chilli sauce,
Galatassa pie.
which is a galatassa pie.
Oh, very good, yeah.
And he's also recently had a chicken tandoori pie. Now, if he's making a chicken tandoori pie, would you have rice in it or no rice in it?
No, you can't have rice in it.
No, I don't think so, but he did make it with rice.
Did he?
Yep.
It went.
I never tried it. This one, but he did have it with rice. I agreed no rice, but
No rice, no.
so Alan, you can sort that out next time. I don't know if you want. What else do you want to ask? What about the? So there's a newly discovered island. You're the rule maker. What's rule number 1 that you're making?
There are no rules. Yeah, that'll do.
Aye.
Is there anything you'd like to ask us, Shaun, before we wrap up?
What do you want to see from your Hibs team?
Derby win, big one. I think just to turn what we're doing now into good attacks and goals. That's probably
absolutely.
the big thing to have folk off their seats.
Do you know when people ask about what's your favourite era watching Hibs, the answers always come up as Tony Mowbray's team, Stubbs' team, McLeish's team, the Sosie team, because they played good football and it was exciting, and it was, and that's what we want to see. And I don't think only Stubbs have won something out of them, but that's what we want.
All right,
So
I'll try and do both.
Yeah. Collins won something, but nobody goes to the Collins team.
No, because nobody gets the credit for the Collins one.
Tailed off.
Yeah, well, I'll try and do both, and trust me, I'm working as hard as I can to get it. We're nowhere near it yet, but I know where we need to go.
Just one last thing. I know we've got to go, but we've got a competition on the go just now for VIP tickets for the Stevie Archibald event here. Just wonder if you want to enter a question along the lines of what we've just. there's these questions that we've asked. There's the best question on Thursday night is going to win. So if you want to send a question,
just let us know. You can do it for Adam.
Sure, you've been Stevie Archibald before, like that. It's a wee VIP meet and greet for if you fancy it.
Yeah, some player. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'll have a think.
Perfect. Well, thanks very much for your time today, Shaun.
Honestly, that's my pleasure
having you on.
Anytime. All right, brilliant. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, folks. Goodbye.
Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee.